Today is primary day in Virginia, and voters across the Commonwealth are heading to the polls to cast their ballots.
That's right. So there are 12 candidates in 5 local contests. But are voters actually going to vote? 13 News Now reporter Elise Brown has much more on the turnout so far.
Voters trickling into precincts.
What's the atmosphere like?
Well, the atmosphere is very quiet.
As of 10 a.m. Tuesday, 30 people voted at the Chrysler Museum in Norfolk. Norfolk tends to vote Democratic, and most of the city, including this location, falls in the 3rd District where there isn't a Democratic primary.
A year ago, November, I stood in line for like 25 minutes at 6:15 in the morning. And, here today, it's mostly people that are coming to the museum, unfortunately.
Over in Virginia Beach, where people tend to vote Republican, there's no waiting in line at Arrowhead Elementary. As of 10:35 this morning, 125 people voted. Across the Commonwealth, during the primary for governor last June, 907,000 people voted out of 5.4 million registered voters.
Well, the primaries are obviously going to be more difficult because the election's in November. So they just need to come up with a better system or an easier system, perhaps figure out a way to do some kind of online voting or something to get more people involved.
I think it's a responsibility that every American needs to participate in. I think that if you don't vote, then you have to live with the consequences, and you need to make your voice known.
Elise Brown, 13 News Now.
Well, all Virginia, 11 Virginia congressional districts and 1 Senate seat are on the ballot this November. In the 2nd congressional district, incumbent Republican Representative Scott Taylor will face Mary Jones. And Jones is a former chairwoman of James City County Council. Democrats will pick between Elaine Luria and Karen Mallard. Luria owns the Mermaid Factory in Norfolk and served in the Navy for 20 years. Mallard is a Chesapeake public school teacher. In the 3rd district, Representative Bobby Scott is running completely unopposed, and Scott has been in office since 1992. And then in the 4th district, incumbent Donald McEachin is running unopposed in the Democratic primary. Now, there are 2 Republicans running for his seat, Cheyenne Fenty and Ryan McAdams.
Turning now to the U.S. Senate primary, Republicans are looking to claim one of Virginia's 2 Senate seats. The incumbent and Democrat Tim Kaine is running unopposed. 3 Republicans want to challenge him, and that will happen in November. Those are Nick Freitas, E.W. Jackson, and Corey Stewart.
So if you're not sure where you're supposed to cast your ballot, head over to vote.elections.virginia.gov, and it's /voter information. So that link is actually on 13newsnow.com. Fill out the requested information, and the site will point you to your designated polling place. Once again, you can find the link on our website. Just look under links in the news.